Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar session. Our guest today is Tolulope, and she'll be taking us on Power BI service best practice, user roles, and workspace organization. So I'll just say a little bit about our partners, Enterprise DNA and your base edge. So Enterprise DNA is we have a partnership with Enterprise DNA, and they are well known for their learning center. They provide a lot of Power BI resources online that you can follow. And also they also provide Power BI challenges monthly. Your Biz Edge. Your Biz Edge is already to be is Tolulope. She's an experienced data analyst with a vast technical experience in Microsoft Excel, Power BI, and SQL. She has about 4 years of experience working with data across the healthcare and supply chain industries. She's also detail-oriented and enjoys transforming diverse data into a compelling story. Educating this webinar today. So I'd just like to share my screen so that we'll begin. Sorry. The topic for today is about workspace best practices in Power BI. And we all know that workspace in Power BI is mainly used for collaboration and sharing. So after you've created your reports and after you've created a report and you publish, you need to share it with stakeholders. You have to publish it to a workspace. So let's just go ahead. So what is a workspace? We can define a workspace as an environment that is used for hosting and sharing Power BI content. And content here could mean data sets, data flows, data marks, reports, paginated reports, metrics, and or dashboards. So we have Workspace. Power BI service is the online version of Power BI. It's also known as Power BI Power BI Online or Power BI Web. So you have to log on to the Power BI website to sign up to Power BI Web. So in order for me to just explain why we are here, there are many a times if you are a single user or a free user with a free license using Power BI service, you have access to just your personal workspace, and that workspace is usually called My Workspace. And this My Workspace is where you can publish your reports, but you can't share it with any user because your license is a bit limited. But when you have a pro license or a premium per user license, you can share these reports with other people within your organization. With a free account, you can also view reports that are shared with you also. So as I said, the workspace is where we can share content, not just reports, but the data sets, the data flow, even paginated reports, and metrics and lots more. So one of the best practice is that workspace can be seen as a single sharing entity. So most times, let me give an example. So I am a data analyst within a company, and then we have a few licenses to go around. Maybe we just bought pro licenses for 5 people, but we have 10 departments. No, okay, I'm exaggerating. Okay, so we have like 7 departments. Then I have from the beginning, anytime we create reports for different departments, for example, for HR, for finance, for operations, we just publish it into one single workspace, and maybe we just call it XYZ company workspace. Most times, when you publish those reports into that workspace and then share the reports to the stakeholders, maybe the HOD, the head of department of operations or finance, by viewing that report, he will have access to other departmental reports, and that's not a good practice. That's not what should be happening, because some of those reports carry sensitive data that shouldn't even be moved across departments. So the best thing for need to do in this situation is to separate workspaces for different audiences. You can see from the images below, you see this green rectangle represents just one workspace housing two different reports for different departments. But now it's best practice to split them into each department. For example, everything that pertains to operations department should be in the operations workspace, and everything that pertains to finance department should be in the finance workspace. So you don't run the risk of having people or users who are not within that department having access to that workspace. But I mean, it's a great practice to do this, but there's something that we could even do that will make our work even more secure, and that's Power BI apps. We'll speak about that in a few seconds. The next best practice is also to split the load. So there are different types of licenses when you're working with Power BI services. We have the Pro license, Premium license, and then Premium per user capacity license. So with the Premium license or Premium per user capacity license, this kind of license is based off on capacity, and usually used by very large organizations where they just give a certain amount of people capacity to use Power BI service. So in these cases, there may in these cases let me give an example. So you have a report in a workspace that is frequently used, maybe it's used like 20 times in a day by 10 people, maybe something like I wouldn't say sales, but like maybe like online sales report that is always checked in and out. The capacity that kind of report will be taking, or the load that kind of report will be consuming, would be higher than a report that maybe is just the manager of another, maybe let me say like a HR manager just looks at his own reports once in a week. So if you have this kind of situation, it's best for you to assign large capacity to the reports that are used more frequently or carry more load, and then for other reports that are not active and frequently used, you assign little or proportional capacity to them. Another one is also there's a concept called shared workspaces. So when you're working with the report, for example, maybe let me use one department, for example. You have a sales. For the sales department, as an example, you have sales for different regions within the country. And then you also have maybe like a currency table that is like generic, that's you use throughout the country. You have a date table or a timetable. These generic data sets, instead of having for each report, you have to like build a new data table, date table from scratch, or a currency table from scratch, or a conversion table from scratch. It's best practice, or it's advisable to have a workspace that contains generic data sets like date table, currencies, and whatnot. And then you can now get data from that workspace instead of having each report holding its own large date table. So you get the date table data from a workspace that can contain it. So with that, even your report doesn't take so much time to load, and it makes things work seamlessly. I spoke about Power BI apps a moment ago. So Power BI apps helps with security. So let me give an example. Even though you have you have users that you've given access to a workspace, they have access to the data sets, and if possible, the data flows also. So, for example, you just have a workspace and then you share data with, let's say, the sales manager. You send a link, but when he clicks the link, it takes him to to a workspace where he will see his reports and also the data sets. So what happens here is that although some people might not be curious enough, some people might just go to where they need their report and do what they have to do. But you might find some people clicking buttons here and there, and someone might mistakenly even delete your data set. I know with that, you have lost everything everything about that report, because without data set, the report cannot load. So for security reasons, let me even give another example. You have a sales workspace that has sales for northern region, southern region, east region, and then west. And you don't want those in the north to see, maybe like the managers in the north to see what these people in the south are doing. Excuse me, or the managers in the east to see what how the people in the west are doing. It's only the group head that can see everything. What you do in this case is that you can create an app and then perform some form of row level security within the app, that only the users of that region sees what they need to see. So the app helps with security. It even helps to eliminate any form of mistakenly deleting your Power BI report elements or data sets or whatnot. So I'm not going to go in details of how to create Power BI apps here, but I'm just stating some of the best practices when working with Power BI workspaces. Power BI apps are they are more advisable to use when you are dealing with end users, people that just have to view their report. They don't have to do any form of editing or deleting. So Power BI apps is the way to go for them. So that's about the best practices with working with Power BI, with workspaces. I'll go into user roles. So in Power BI, we have 4 major roles in workspaces. Previously, they just used to be 2, the edit and view roles. But now Power BI has added admin, member, contributor, and viewer role. So we're going to start. All these roles have their limitations and what they can do. Start with the viewer role. So if you give a member or user, for example, a viewer role, this role is similar to like a read only kind of role. He cannot delete users. He can't have access to the data set or data flow, analyze data. He can only view the content of that workspace. So most times you use this viewer role as the role. It's advisable to use this viewer role as the role that you give your end users. You assign to your end users. So the next role is the contributor role. And the contributor role in this case is usually best used by Power BI developers. That's people that, like data analysts, that create reports and publish publish their reports into the workspace and all that. So with this contributor role, the user has access to everything within the workspace. He can edit, he can create, he can delete data sets, data flows, and also publish reports from Power BI desktop into Power BI services. But he cannot create apps with this role. He cannot publish apps also. He can also modify gateways. He can carry out schedule refreshes. This role, as I said, is ideal for Power BI developers and is mostly used by Power BI developers. So the next role is member role, but I don't know why Microsoft why they had to call it member role, because he has more functionalities than the other roles. So he can do what the viewer can do and the contributor can do. This role, any member or any user you assign this role to can do what the contributor can do and the viewer can do. and also publish app. That means you can create an app, publish it, update the app, or even unpublish the app. So this role is mostly maybe by like used by deployment team. So or someone who like deploys whatever the Power BI developer has done. Maybe after creating so many reports for sales team, you don't want to like um consolidate all those reports into a single app. You can do that with a member role. The you can also assign access to other members. What I mean by that is you can assign roles to contributor, like you can assign someone within that workspace to be a contributor. You can also add members or add users to the current workspace you are in. So this workspace is usually maybe like the head of the data team can like can like be suitable for this role. That's what I mean. And the next role is also the admin role. This admin role is the ultimate role. He can do everything that every other person in every role can do. But the most significant thing is that he can even delete the whole workspace. So when assigning user roles to people, don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, he's the head of the department, he should have the admin role. That's totally wrong. I know I made this mistake in the past, but it's something that should be avoided. So the admin role should is someone who oversees everything that's within that workspace. Most times he's even the one that created the workspace. So he can delete the workspace, he can publish apps, he can share apps within the workspace, he can interact with reports, of course, he can configure and modify schedule refreshes and all that. So this admin role is very high up there. So it's someone who is the creator of the workspace or has higher, how will I call it now? He's the one who is in charge of the workspace and makes sure you can't assign this role to someone that you might mistakenly delete something or do something off. So it has to be someone that you are sure that your reports and all that are secure with them. So you can't, this admin role doesn't necessarily mean the head of department or whatever. So most times when you create workspaces for different departments, it's advisable you even give them user role if you don't have to create a Power BI app for them. So that's the only time you can use the reviewer role, because with the viewer role, they can only read or use they can only view the content of the report. They don't have access to the data set and whatnot. So you are safe with your workspace. The content of your workspace, it will be in good hands if you just grant them user role. And it's also advisable to another best practice is also, because since you are sharing workspaces with your end users or stakeholders, it's always advisable to have a moment and walk them through what the workspace is about, because some people might not know how to navigate their way around the workspace after a report has been shared with them. So that's one other point that I have to make. So that's it about the workspace best practices and user roles. I hope I have been clear. I would like to hear your questions, reservations, or comments